Welcome back for another video. My name is Josh Kastic, and today is my last Exile review. Now, this is an anime that I think will take forever to break down. I always want to break down the animes. I'm going to try my best to break this down, but it's not going to be good. And the reason why is because Last Exile's story is so good that you need to pay attention to every single detail to the story. Every key sequence is important to the plot. And if you miss like one sequence, don't even listen to one part of it, you're going to get lost, because every part of the story is important. And it is such well written that you just need, like, you can't multitask watching the show. You need to stop when you want to watch the show. You need to put down everything and just watch the show, because it's just that good. Like, you need to pay attention to everything, and so there's just nothing. Like, I can't really tell you everything because it would be a whole hour or so type video. Okay, sorry about that. Where I left off, I was talking about how if I try to break down this entire video, it will, or I'm not the video. If I try to break down the entire show, I would just not be able to do it. Like, it would be an hour-long video, and I probably won't do it justice enough. So I'm going to do the best I can with this, okay? So this takes place in the future on a different planet where humans kind of accompany, but it's kind of split between a kind of an airstream where essentially the past, there's this ship called the Last Exile, which is essentially, I guess, the last ship to that still exists, that was supposed to how I say this, convert the planet to be habitable. But unfortunately, one side of the planet where the main characters is hot, and they're called the are they called the Disith? No, it's not the other one. Or the Anatoray. Okay, so there's these two nations, the Anatoray and the Disith, and then on top of them is the guild. Now the guild they have all the advanced technology, they have all the clean water and all the nice stuff, and they have a monopoly over this. But they there's a conflict between Disith and the Anatoray, and essentially they're battling each other. And our two main characters are Claus Valca and Lavie Head. Yes, and they're actually children of two famous, or they're not siblings. They are just best friends, but their parents, or at least their fathers, were very famous vanship pilots. And vanship pilots are people who take missions and they grab missions and they go off and complete the mission. They get money, and that's what their dream is. Their dream is to do that. Well, unfortunately, their fathers go on a mission with this couple. One of the couple, the guy in the couple, I forgot the one's name, but the guy is named Alex Rowe. He is a they go on a mission to go through the I think Defsus is the bad guys and Anatoray is the good guys. I think, or technically they're not really bad guys or good guys here, really, but they go on a mission to make a peace talk with Defsus, and they go through the Gulf Stream, or the stream, right? I think that's I think that's what it's called, right? The Gulf Stream. I think it's the the Grand Stream. That's it. Yes, the Grand Stream. Right. So, and that's kind of what's going on, right? But unfortunately, they found the Last Exile, and the Grand Stream is really bad with the winds, and then the guild show up with the leader of the guild. Uh, Come on. What's her name? She's the main bad of the show. Queen. What was it? What is it? What's her name? What is her name? I kind of remember her name here. Come on. What was her name? Remember what was her name? Delphina? Delphine? Yes, Delphine, right. That's her name. That's right, Delphine. Now I remember Delphine. And so she's the main bad. She just stand there looking at them like she's all smiling. And unfortunately, um, Alex Rose's fiance slash girl, or the fiance, she falls out and presumably died. And then the two fathers also died too. Alex Rowe was the only one to live, and shows up. He gives his vanship to Claus and Lavie when they're like really young, but he said that it's their father's or vanship because now Claus' father is the pilot, while Lavie is father is the navigator. See, vanships have needs two people to run. So that's kind of how it works. So Claus is the pilot, and Lavie is the navigator. And they become really good at it, and they eventually they go on missions. Well, eventually they get thrown into a conflict between Disith, the guild, and the the Disith and the guild years later, while being basically this girl named Alvis Hamilton, who's the key to Last Exile for some reason. But there used to be many guild families, I guess, and not just Claus Eclair, which is what Delphine is a part of. And so they get basically Alvis is basically being helped by another Van Dread pilot, but they get attacked by one of the guild's special like ships type things, and so he gives Alvis to Claus and Lavie while they were on like kind of a race type thing with Van Dreads and stuff, and then so they get the mission and they they have to go to Alex, and then because he's the pilot, the main because now think about this is that the battleships are air battleships, and they're like think about what battleships look like, but think of them as kind of old airships kind of type of thing. Like they're like flying old looking airships with some battleship like stuff on them. Okay, essentially give them where I think like the Silvana, which is the main one of the attacking ships that Alex he runs the Silvana, and it's supposed to be a really famous ship for always winning and stuff like that. It has a reputation. Well, they have to give Alvis to Alex Road, and well they were able to do that, but they kind of got attached to Alvis, and Alex just takes Alvis away and. And this doesn't actually happen on the Savannah. This actually happens on an area that they were supposed to meet Alex. But then they go and fly the ship, and now they're part of the crew, and they become friends with everyone. And we get to find out later that Alex is the guy that went on that mission and all that stuff with with their fathers, and he eventually tells them that vanship is actually his, not their father's. And this kind of while being here, there is a kind of a separation between Claus and Lavie, because Lavie doesn't want to do battling, and Claus is like wants to get involved and all this stuff, and because when he found out that this vanship is not his anymore, his dream of actually flying the Grand Stream with Lavie and all that kind of means nothing anymore to him, I think. And also it turns out that there's the second command of the ship. What was her name? Come on. She's actually the princess of Disith, and her father's kind of being problematic, and he accidentally gets himself killed, and so she becomes queen. And there's this final battle between there was a battle with Anatoray and Disith, but they realize that the Gil is the real problem, and they kind of join forces. Now, eventually, Dio, who's supposed to be the Eclair, is supposed to be who's the um, brother of Delphine. He gets kind of attachment to Klaus, and he kind of joins the crew at one point. But unfortunately, he and Alvis and Klaus get captured by Delphine, and Dio gets goes through a coming of age thing where he kind of loses his will. He's more of just kind of a psycho person, kind of like learning. He has no soul anymore, really. It's kind of like that, which is really unfortunate to his character because although at first you don't really like his character, but eventually, over time, you kind of sympathize for him. Like you can understand what he's gone through, what his sister's done to him, and everything like that. So it's really interesting. But yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't actually. Well, there's a second series that I haven't seen yet, but apparently, but where he does live, but essentially they all do get escape, and but Dio it goes to the hospital, but he escapes and he starts when Elvis and Klaus need to get back, and they kind of take different spots with a new navigator and stuff like that. With they kind of switch so that the guild members can't keep up with them, and so basically one by one you get to see the different guild members that help them along until you finally reach reach Lavie, who finally finished rebuilding their vanship that kind of I forgot to mention got wrecked while they hit when they reached the Silvana. And they go off and they finally complete their dream by going through the grand ship. Disith and obviously Anatoray are working together to get the Laxaso and defeat guild member. Well, I forgot to mention, one thing I forgot to mention, Alex Rowe also got captured by Delphine, and but she was kind of careless, and gets right up to Alex Rowe, and he was able to break free of his chains and strangled her, before the Silvana kind of blew it up, and Alex Rowe is gone. Now he actually mentions because obviously he finally gets his revenge against her, because of the loss of his lover, and now he says his lover's name right before dying, but the princess or the queen, what was her? Why can't I remember her name? Sophia, that's it. Yes, the Queen Sophia, that's her name. That's right. She's in love with Alex, but one of the person who was basically on the comms listening to everything around them heard Alex, but heard that he said his original lover's name and Sophia, but she says that he said Sophia, I guess is the way to make her happy. Now, Alex kind of had a rival, who's who's part of Anatoray, not the Disith, who's also in love with Sophia, and I think the second series kind of shows that they're going to end up together after Alex Rowe obviously dies in this series, but yeah, so everything kind of works out, and Alvis actually activates the last Exile, and it finishes off kind of what's the word? I'm trying to remember. I know there's a word for it when you try to rechange the planet so that it could be healthy for your people, your species. I forgot the word, but obviously it finishes everything, and the last scene is kind of Alvis and Klaus, and also Klaus. Obviously, if Klaus and Lavie are going to get together, although it's not confirmed, both in this series and the second series, but it's kind of obvious that they will be together. Now, there's actually another character that we get to enjoy. His name is Mullen, and he ends up with a Disith girl. I forgot her name. but he got married to her, and they own the farm, and they're kind of living with Klaus, Lavie, Alvis, as well as the Disith girls, siblings and stuff like that. So there's kind of that. Where in like the last scene, we get to see Lavie and Klaus flying their vanship, and we got to see some other really important characters. They kind of fell in love with Klaus. We got to see Alistair and what was it? And her name is Alistair, but she always goes by Alice because of. And then there's this other one named Tatiana. We get to see them too. They're really enjoyable characters. But I forgot to. But in the grand stream when Klaus and them were fighting Dio, and Dio started to get his memories back, and when he had this servant, who Luciola, who accidentally got who in order to save Dio gets killed by Delphine, and so he starts to remember him and thinks he's still his navigator, and he looks out and kind of gets out of the ship, and because of the wind in the Grand Stream, he falls out. Presumably Dio dies, but apparently he didn't because he's in the second series. But that's besides the point. That's pretty much the entire story. Well, I cut through a bunch of the story just so you could get the main points behind everything. But my summary does not do the show justice. Okay, you need to check the show out. I recommend you watching The Last Exile. Like I mean it. Like you need to go watch it. Don't watch my video, but you need watch the show. It is just that good. I'm not kidding. I recommend it. The story is good. All the characters are enjoyable, likable. It's really cool. It's really that good. Okay, guys. So just go watch it. All right. Now, if you guys like this video, please leave a like. If you're new, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified for your next upload. My YouTube channel, website link, my Twitter, my Snapchat, and Instagram are all in the description as always. And thank you. Goodbye.